Would you do us a favor and leave your camera off till you're done eating your lunch and smoking your cigarettes and wandering around? It's really distracting.
All right, we are recording. We're ready to go here.
Okay. There was a farmer named McDonald, and he had a website that was not popping, not here, not there, anywhere, and he had a thought there was a better way. It was Site Pop with John Limbacher.
Oh, that's awesome. You always come up with something creative, Gregory. Very cool. So anyway, I wanted to give you guys a little update on the PayPal issue. I know a lot of people have been asking me how that's going. I just finally got a letter back from their legal department this morning detailing out all of the things that were already known, like when I created my accounts, what accounts I had. And then what they said was they said after an investigation looking at my website that I had made claims that were unrealistic and representative of a Ponzi scheme. And they said because of that, they have the ability to fine me $2,500 per incident and just remove it right out of my account. And I'm like, I have never seen that anywhere in PayPal's terms and conditions, that they have the ability to just steal money out of your account like that. Anyway, they basically said because the fines were over and beyond what I had in my PayPal balances, that they just reduced them to zero. So that's a little over $13,000 for something that they're not willing to even tell me what the violation was. And I look through my site, I don't see anywhere in there where I have made any kind of unrealistic claims. I've got all of the legal documents in there, testimony disclaimers, results disclaimers, everything. Go ahead, Gregory, you got your hand up there.
Okay, this goes back to OTC, OTA, and the FTC, the thing that they, okay? But the FTC got on OTA's terms and condition was that they negated, or let's say they circumvented your rights arbitrarily without due process. And in here, what I'm seeing is even a deeper thing in that they have circumvented your due process without even stating it in their terms and conditions. They have to state that in their terms and conditions so we let the people know, hey, if you do certain violations, we will charge, we have the right to fine you back. Now, this is becoming a legal question of companies and corporations with their terms and conditions overstepping the boundaries of constitutional rights, which we talked about on the Fourth Amendment of due search and of search and seizure. And I would definitely be pursuing this to the AG, statewide and national, because this is really a national event. And yeah, international too, but I don't know what the other countries want to say about it. But USA, yeah. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, well, I'm actually consulting with a law firm on it, and they said it's crazy. They've never heard of or seen anything like it. And I think they're kind of frothing at the chops to go after PayPal on my behalf. So I'm kind of interested to see where that goes. I have reported them to the California Attorney General. So I have escalated it to a state level. But yeah, I think you're right. It is a federal, that's a federal crime. They're acting as a bank and they're not really registered as a bank. So they're not under bank guidelines, which they should be. They should be regulated. And, any financial institution out there, credit card agencies, they're all heavily regulated. And apparently PayPal is not regulated by anybody.
So, well, and on top of that, though, they're also not declaring. Your letter is proof of showing that they are also being, oh, what's the word? Fraudulent. It's not the word, but misinformation, misguiding, because there's no declaration for, if you connect the letter to the terms and conditions, where in your terms and condition is this at? Then therefore that is a fraudulent situation. There's another word for it, and I can't. It's the cat's got my tongue. I can't figure the word, but there is a definite legal term of where they're hiding this stuff in there. If they hid it in fine print, that could be a gray area. But this is definitely a black and white where they're not stating section 2. When I got in trouble with somebody before, they said, according to this, according to this, according to this. Like it was the thing when I was trying to fund my Bitcoin, and they blocked me from getting the Bitcoin because they were claiming I was doing money laundering. And I came back at them and say, hey, I am not doing money laundering, but that's no problem. I'll take my business elsewhere. Goodbye. But in your situation, they're not even stating that.
Yeah, I mean, if they could point out and state what I did wrong, I can accept that. I mean, if I'm going to lose 13 grand for something that I did wrong, hey, so be it. That's just a learning lesson. But I don't think that's the case. I don't see anywhere where I possibly could have done anything.
No. This is outright theft.
Yeah,
this is outright
robbery.
theft.
So, I mean, anybody that has known me, I've been doing business with PayPal for 20 years. There's not one complaint against me, not one ever. So, I mean, if I was running a Ponzi scheme, there'd be complaints.
John, I came in a little bit late, but have you talked to anybody at PayPal?
Yes. Yeah, they will not give you any information without a subpoena. So they're basically just hiding behind their legal department. And so that's the case. I mean, I don't know how many people they've just bullied.
It's going to cost you money.
Yeah. They stole 13,000.
It's going to cost you money to go find out why it cost you money.
Yeah, exactly. No, if I go to an attorney, there's no way I'm going to lose. And if I do that, I'm going to go after them for damages, because I can prove I've got probably $100,000 in lost business because of that. Because I had a bunch of recurring charges in there, and they killed them all. I mean, if I go after, I'm going full tilt. I'm going to stack up everything that I potentially or could have potentially lost. I'll go back and look at my stick rate on my recurring charges, which they go years. So they could potentially be liable for years of lost income.
Would you like to be the lead plaintiff in a class action suit?
I would. And here's the other caveat to that. About a year ago, PayPal sent out a new update to their terms of service that you had to agree with to continue your PayPal account. And in there, in the fine print, you were agreeing not to enter into a class action lawsuit against them. How's that for a little underhanded misguidance?
Which again is circumvention of your rights.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, you do realize you've also given away your firstborn.
Yeah. It's just unreal. Unbelievable. Right.
So plan of attack for the future. If attorneys come on board, now you have to get not a run of a mill, but somebody that has prominent name there in Orange County. Number one. Number two, someone who's also media hog, who would like to do a public demonstration of the filing. Yeah. And then going to the steps of PayPal in San Jose with us behind you to stand up, along with also putting the word out to the world, not just us and their community, but to the world. Hey guys, if PayPal has screwed you over, come talk to me, contact my attorney, because now they can build a broader case of other intimidation and harassment. This is financial, economic intimidation and harassment is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I'd be interested. I know they've shut down numerous accounts from internet marketers. But what I've never heard of is I've never heard of them stealing the money like they did to me. And I'd be curious to know if that has actually happened, and maybe people just aren't talking about it because they're embarrassed or whatever, or
But but
who
also
knows?
too, but also too, the little guy doesn't have the money to fight back.
Yeah,
That's the other thing. And the little guy doesn't have the influence. Without influence and power and somebody behind you of word and name, they got nowhere to go and said, "Oh, I'll give it up. I'll lose a few thousand here and there." But the difference
yep.
is you're not.
I
You're a
I just
high profile individual who has the power and the means to gather the people around you.
yeah, I just wonder how many people they've done this to and
So
got
can you
away.
go to like Seven on Your Side or one of these consumer reporters on one of the newscasts? You
Oh
put
yeah.
you get something on the news,
Oh,
and I
the
bet you
media
you'll have
queen.
people
Yes,
coming
go
out of the
Lisa.
woodwork.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
It's unreal.
what are viable alternatives to PayPal?
Well, credit card. I mean, there's no real reason why you need PayPal. The thing is, what I found is if you do offer PayPal and you sell to the internet marketing community, you will make more sales. That's what I found. I found that to be absolutely true. And the reason behind it, it's kind of interesting. It's a psychological reason, and this goes to sales, is it's easier for someone to make a purchase if you have multiple options of payment. Like what I mean by that is, like, let's say you offer a multi-pay where they don't have to pay all up front, or one of the objections, here's a hidden objection. And I've heard this, I've undug this many times, and it's crazy to me, but they don't like to use credit card because they have to pay the bill. I mean, I know some of you have heard this story, but I was tutoring the kid next door on how to do internet marketing. And I showed him how to do AdSense or AdWords rather. We set him up. He had a business where he was an affiliate of some products. We were buying the clicks at a ratio of about $1 per $5 sale. So he was making 5 to 1. Every dollar in clicks he bought, he made $5 in commissions. And I left him to his own means, thinking he's going to scale this up, right? I just gave the kid a money printing machine, $1 for 5. And I check in with him a few months later and I'm like, hey, how's it going? And he said, I stopped running the ads. And I'm like, why? Did it stop working? Why didn't you come to me? And he said, no, it was working. I just didn't like paying the bill. And that just, I didn't even know what to say about that. I'm like, let me get this right. You were getting billed $1 for making 5 and you don't want to pay the bill? I couldn't get it. I couldn't wrap my head around it. It was a matter of he came from a family that was so inside the working box that he just couldn't get out. And that's sad. That is incredibly sad. So that kid now is a librarian, just like his mother. And nothing wrong with that. That's a good career. But it's just, to me, it's just sad that he had that kind of opportunity to not have to be at a day job and do the same thing every day for the next 30 years. And he didn't take it. And I'm like, that's just kind of crazy. Every time I think about that, it just throws me in a tailspin. I just can't get my head wrapped around it. But where I was going with that is that's a hidden objection that people don't like to pay credit card bills. And in PayPal, they never get a bill. In PayPal, when people pay them and they have money in the PayPal account, it's almost like trading cards. It's not like it's real money. and they'll spend it a lot freer. So that's the advantage to using PayPal if you service a market that is internet marketers. Now, if you're selling products or service outside the internet marketing space to like real business owners, brick and mortar, when I say real business owners, I'm not saying that we're not real. I'm talking about brick and mortar, real world business owners. People that sell products and services out in the real world. So that's what I'm referring to. And they don't use PayPal. They don't even know what it is. So PayPal has zero advantage outside the internet marketing space. But like me, I service a lot of internet marketers. So for me, I made more sales by offering PayPal. Now, when I went out to my audience, the people that were paying me through PayPal, I probably realistically got 75% of them to opt back in with their credit cards. But I lost 25% of them. So the section of my business that I was getting paid with PayPal, I literally lost 25% of it because I can't offer it anymore. So hopefully that kind of answers your question. But I don't know of another alternative service like PayPal where it's almost like funny money. They're willing to just spend it where they wouldn't spend it on real dollars or credit card purchases. So that's
John, PayPal used to be an independent standalone business, but they were just bought by some big bank like American Express or somebody. I don't recall exactly who it was that bought them, but they're now no longer an independent company. They're underneath some big institutional lender.
who is that?
You can probably Google it. I can't remember off the top of my head, but
No, but who got bought? PayPal?
yeah, PayPal got bought.
Oh, okay. I was not aware of that. That's interesting. I wonder if this might help my case at all.
Sir, I got the answer. According to this, July 2002, eBay acquired PayPal. eBay controls PayPal, according to what I'm finding here on screen. I'm not. Does anybody have anything better? Over.
I just confirmed that.
Okay.
I don't know about that. I was under the impression that eBay dumped PayPal.
They did. This is Chris. I got a notice on my eBay account saying we no longer accept PayPal as a form of payment. And they went through a whole thing where you had to register a credit card or ATM card.
Okay, Chris, you're really broken up there on your audio.
Oh, here, let me, sorry about that. Don't know why that is. But what I was saying is that I got a notice from eBay stating they're no longer accepting PayPal as a form of payment, and it wasn't a mistake. I actually had to then log in and set up an alternate form of payment on a credit card or ATM.
Okay. Yeah, so you're still very broken up, but I get what you're saying. So Chris is saying that he got a notice from PayPal or from eBay saying they were no longer accepting PayPal as payments. And I remember getting that same thing. It's been a while back. So I was under the impression that they were broken off. And I think it was Jeff put in the chat that PayPal trades publicly on NASDAQ as PAPL, I believe.
It says that eBay will be accepting PayPal until 2023.
Oh, okay. Maybe they found out, because eBay is the same kind of scenario. eBay, believe it or not, that's an internet marketing company. So like what I was saying, there's a tremendous amount of people that will buy stuff on eBay because they can use their PayPal dollars, their funny money. And same thing, like Amazon does not take PayPal. There's no PayPal option in Amazon. Oh, excuse me, guys. Got some dust going on down here. But like, when I was using PayPal, I always had a lot of money in my PayPal account because I was getting paid constantly with people from PayPal using the PayPal dollars. So I bought more crap that I didn't need because it was the same thing. It wasn't like real money. And I know I could have just transferred it to my bank and had real money, but there's something about the PayPal dollars that just kind of makes you lose your mind. So it's an interesting concept and scenario. It's definitely a culture that they've built. It's just, the people behind it are just flat out corrupt. No doubt in my mind at this point. I always remember for years, I've heard internet marketers talk about having their PayPal accounts shut down. And in the back of my mind, I was always leery and skeptical. I was always thinking, yeah, what'd you do to deserve that? And now I know they probably didn't do anything, just like me. So,
PayPal is like this. They use the same psychology as Las Vegas. That's why they give you chips in Las Vegas and not money.
yeah, exactly. There's a whole psychology behind that. So interesting. But anyway, I don't want to burn up the whole call with my PayPal drama. I just wanted to give you guys an update. Let you know.
Pardon, sir. It was a lesson also and a warning to us going in the future what our business is, in that what minefields are out there that you've stepped on that we don't want to step on. So thank you. No,
Yeah,
you did good.
absolutely. I've been posting it on Facebook and Twitter, and I have had a lot of people that got back to me that said, "Yep, okay, thank you. I closed my PayPal account. No longer going to use them." And I think that's awesome, because if they can do this to me, they can do this to anybody. I mean, I've
Business opportunity, John. Let's start a new PayPal. Call it Pay Friend.
yeah, maybe we should get Elon Musk on the horn
That's
and
good.
say, "Hey, you want to do this again?"
Well,
I think
I was going to ask about Venmo, but I did a quick Google search, and it turns out, because I've seen several people around me shifting over to Venmo, and it
PayPal.
turns out Venmo is owned by PayPal.
Yeah. I think they opened that as a facade to, that's what I'm thinking
It
anyway.
focuses on the mobile market as well.
Yeah. I think it also focuses on the younger generation too. Because I know the first time I heard it was my nieces and nephews, and I'm like, "The hell is Venmo?" That was the first place I heard it, and they were all using it to pay each other. And I'm like, "Don't you guys have bank accounts? Don't you have a checking account?" And they're like, "They don't even know what that is." So it's crazy, crazy stuff. They don't. And here's another thing too. The younger generation, they don't seem to like credit cards. And I don't know where that comes from. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they see their parents in so much credit card debt and it causing so much, stir and drama in households. Maybe they just think it's evil. I don't know. There's nothing evil at all about credit. Credit is leverage. How you use it can be a very bad thing. Credit's just like anything else. Credit's like money. Credit's like a business. If you don't treat it badly, it will fail. I mean, you can have credit that does you well, and you can have credit that will destroy you. It does not mean it's a bad thing. That's like saying money's the root of all evil. That's the biggest crock I think I've ever heard.
It's also a misquote. The actual scripture is the love of money, not money itself, but it's been popularized as money.
Yeah. Mostly
by socialists and other people of that stripe.
Yeah, but I mean, no matter how you slice it, that the scripture is true. The love of money might be the root of all evil, but the money itself there's nothing evil about money. Money is just money. You know, and the generally the people that I hear that misquoting it are people that don't have it. And that's why they think it's evil. It's like, I don't have it, it must be evil. It's doing bad things to me. Well, no, that's not true. You might be doing bad things to yourself, but it's not the money.
Well, and I wouldn't want to win the lottery because I just have to pay the taxes.
Yeah, yeah. It's like there's been case studies about that of people that win the lottery and then they're broke 5 years later. I mean, how is that possible?
John, the statistic is something on the order of 95% of the people that win the lottery are in the same financial position they were before they won it within 3 years.
Yeah, yeah. Matt Browning had a thing about that, and it had a lot to do with what's in your head. He said your relationship to money, you have an internal thermostat. You have a thermostat just like in your house for what you're comfortable, the temperature that you're comfortable with. And if it gets too hot, you turn it down. If it gets too cold, you turn it up because you want to remain comfortable. And I think people have the same thing, like what Matt was talking about, was their comfort of money. And if they make too much money and they get too much, they're uncomfortable, so they squander it. If they don't make enough and they're uncomfortable, then they got to make more. So they'll do whatever it takes to do that. So I think he's
You guys
absolutely.
remember Harvecker? Oh, am I still breaking up? Sorry to interrupt you. Am I still breaking up in audio?
Yeah, Chris, you're all garbled out.
Oh, sorry. I'll log out, log back in. Sorry.
I think you might have something wrong with your mic or something, but yeah, it's getting worse. Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
The much quoted 80-20 rule, formerly known as the Pareto principle, came from an economic study done by, I don't know, it was like a couple, 200-300 years ago, early economist named Vilfredo Pareto, who found that in Italy, if they took all, and he was an Italian economist, found that if you took all the money from everybody, redistributed evenly amongst everybody, that within 5 years, 20% of the people would have 80% of the wealth again. And that's the basis for the 80-20 rule that's applied to so many other things these days.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've heard the same thing. Like, you've got the ones that talk about if you won the lottery, X amount of percent will be broke in 3 years. I've also heard on the flip side of the coin, if you take somebody that is wealthy and you take their money away, or they lose it, a business goes bad or something, they go upside down, that they'll be wealthy again within 3 years. So it's just like the exact opposite, inverse flip side of the coin.
So Clinton Swain, who runs a lot of live training games for entrepreneurs and speakers, has one particular game that has a rule in it that the only way to win, and it's seated in the language, but everybody misses it. The only way to win the game is for the groups to stick together as a team and not allow themselves to become independent teams. He's only had one person ever catch that and provide a solution. And this was a gentleman with a net worth of multiples of billions of dollars. And he looks at things very differently because he approached the person that was facilitating the game when he played it. He saw what was going on, so he just bought all the teams, put them into one team, and it was the first time it had ever happened. And it ended up that I think there was one group that held out, and they just got crushed.
Yeah.
By the other teams that came together. But it was a different perspective, and this person was able to see the rules for succeeding in the game, where in hundreds of runs with thousands of people, no one had ever seen it before.
Yeah.
Buckminster Fuller for decades ran a game he called the World Game, and they divided the people that participated up into the population ratios around the planet, and they played the game 3 times. One where everybody was out to make as much money as they could. The second one is they could form groups of 2 or 3 people, but no more. And then the last time they did the game, as many people as wanted to could form groups to earn money. And they found statistically over decades that the more people that are working together to make everybody the most money, everybody makes the most money. Statistically, it's been proven for decades by Buckminster Fuller. So there's some credibility for you on that.
Yeah, I know. I went through Matt Browning's leadership training. God, it's been probably 10 years ago. But there I think he had about 50 or 60 people in the group that were all going through it. It was a whole week. It was 7 solid days of leadership training. And he did a lot of games. He did a lot of scenarios where he put groups of people together and pitted them against one another. And one of the games I remember, and before he started the games, he kind of broke you up into color schemes. He has this thing where different types of people represent different types of colors. And like blue, for instance, was a blue collar for people at work, and they're in a high management position. And then there was another color for higher management, supervisory, and and then there was the executives. But then above the executives there was entrepreneurs, and then above the entrepreneurs there's like world leaders, world thinkers. And obviously I was into the orange group for entrepreneurs. And at the end of a few of the games, I asked Matt, because he asks you what color you think you are, and then he has what he thinks you are, and then he at the end you match up and see if you were right or if he was right or whatever. And at the end I asked him, I said, so what do you think, Matt? You think I'm orange? And he said, I think you're nuclear orange. But it was funny, one of the first games, and he said he'd never had anyone that figured this out as fast as I did. It was called the helium stick. And he gives you an aluminum rod that's about 2 feet long, and you've got 5 people, and everybody puts a finger under the stick. And you have to, no one can release their finger from the stick. If your finger comes off the stick, any of the 5 of you, you lose. So you've got to remain contact with the stick. So you have 5 fingers, 5 people, 1 stick, and you have to all go down simultaneously and get that stick to the ground. And because when you start to lose the contact, you put more pressure on it. So that's why he calls it the helium stick. With 5 people are constantly pushing it up, and it just goes up like a helium balloon. And it's funny. It is hilarious to watch, because he's like, no, guys, down, not up. And as soon as he was describing the game, I already knew how to beat it. As soon as we got our stick, I took the stick and I laid it on my arm, and I said, I said, all right, everybody put your fingers on my arm. So I had 5 fingers across my arm. We put the stick on top. I said, now push my arm to the ground, and boom, down we went. It was over in like less than a second. And he was just like flabbergasted. He'd never seen that before. And every time he had a game, before he even got the rules of the game out, I had already beaten it. And it's like, that is creative thinking. That's like problem solving. And that, as entrepreneurs, the higher level of problem solving you have, the more money you're likely to make and the easier you're likely to make it. Because problem solving, there is a lot of money in solving people's problems. Whether you're creating products or you're just connecting people with the products that solve their problems or whatever, if you're solving problems, you should be making money. And I mean, we live in a world full of problems. You can go into any
Site pop. Segue to site pop now. You're talking about solving problems. Go for site pop.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a problem of people not being able to rank their websites. So we developed a software that would help them do that. It's solving a problem. Everything that I do solves problems. You know, like the ACT program, it solves the problem of people failing with marketing campaigns. You know, our web hosting solutions, they solve the problems that everyone has with other web hosts. You know, same with our web development. I've had people that came to me to get their websites developed that had been to 5 other people, spent a ton of money, and never got what they wanted. So it's always look for the problems. I'm telling you, we live in a world loaded with problems. If you have skills, let's say you're a boat mechanic, for instance. People have broken boats. They need shit fixed. There's no reason that you can't make money with whatever skill set you have solving people's problems. So I don't care what level you're at. We've all got skill sets and we all know how to do things that fix problems that people have. So there's no reason that any of us can't make all the money you want. Now, that said, there are certain things that are not scalable. Like I gave the example of the boat mechanic. The boat mechanic is an example of a job. It's you don't work for someone, you work for yourself, but you have created a job for yourself. Whenever you're trading time for dollars, I consider that a job. It's an opportunity to make money. Like I said, we all can make money. As business owners and entrepreneurs, we can all make money. But the ones that are going to make the most are the ones that are going to figure out how to do something scalable, where you can get more people paying you for doing the same effort. Like for instance, my ongoing membership. It doesn't matter if I have 2 people or 2,000 people. It's the same effort on my part to supply what I supply. You know, if there was 10 more people on the call, no one would know the difference, but it would be 10 more people paying me for the membership. So you guys want to look at what you can do that is scalable. Another way to scale is by other people's efforts. Like generally a business owner doesn't start a business just for a job so they do all the work. Look at Ray Kroc. You know, Ray Kroc worked, and you know, this is another quote you guys have heard. I don't know if it's a misquote or if it's on the money, but the whole thing about working on your business instead of in your business. Ray Kroc, it might have looked like he was working in the business when he was creating systems because he had to do it to figure out the system. But realistically, he was working on the business because he was working in the business to create the systems. That's working on the business. And once he created systems, he could scale that. I mean, McDonald's is a scalable business. It's scaled worldwide. If you have a burger, you can have a burger on the other side of the world. It's going to be the same burger for the most part. You know, if you have a burger in California and you have a burger in Florida, you're a couple thousand miles apart. It's going to be the exact identical same burger. That's because Ray created systems that were scalable. People can buy those franchisers, and you know, the company's making money, the franchisees making money, everybody down the line is making money, and that's scalable. That's scalability. So whenever you're looking at opportunities of what you call a business or business opportunity, that I always ask myself, what's this going to require of me? You know, like if I had to do web development, I would not do web development. I have a team of people that do the web development for me. I set up the jobs, I'm the front end, I communicate. I found that one of the things that I can do that a lot of people can't, this is back to problem solving people's problems. Most people do not know how to talk to a web designer or a web developer. They speak a different language. So when you talk to them and you don't speak their language, you're not going to communicate properly and you're not going to have the desired outcome you want. I speak that language fluently. I speak the language of the customer and the crew. So that's a problem that I can solve effectively, and it's scalable. I can teach someone to talk that language and put someone in the middle where I'm out of the picture. And that's probably going to be my next step as I start to scale up the web development portion of my business. But again, I'm always looking for, I have to do the stuff in the middle, just like Ray Kroc, to create the systems. But ultimately, I'm looking to create systems so I can step out of the way and let the system work. Let the system make the money for me. You know, a lot of people say, you know, we see you constantly on the calls, you're working in the business. The only reason that I do this stuff is I like it. I enjoy this. I don't see what I do here as work. This is enjoyment for me to help and see other people succeed. Like, I got a phenomenal email last night. This thing, I mean, it just made me tingle all over. It was somebody that was a beta tester. And, you know, back to Richard Porter, he had said, you know, talk about site pop. We also saw that people had a problem getting their products and services up on Amazon to sell them. We looked at that. We had our team look into it. We discovered that the same algorithm that Google uses is also in play on Amazon. So it's like, okay, we can make a little bit of an adjustment here and we can have a whole new system that will go in. It will get people rated on Amazon, get them ranked so they can sell their products. So this email that I got last night, it was somebody, and when I first saw it, I did not see it as a thank you or a testimonial. It would just look like a question, as a tech support kind of email. As I was reading on, I first answered the questions that were in there, but as I was reading on, they were thanking me because they had used the Amazon site pop and they stopped using it. And first I thought, okay, God, this is a complaint. This is a bummer because we're still in beta on it. It wasn't a complaint. They said they stopped using it because they sold out all their inventory because of it. And I swear to God, that just gave me tingles all over. It's like, that's why I do what I do. You know, if I can do that for somebody and sell out their inventory so they have to stop advertising, that's a good thing. I remember I had a client, this was probably 15 years ago, and they were selling luxury high-rise condominiums in Las Vegas. And they had a whole building, you know, full of these high-rise luxury condos. And I did the SEO project for them. And I mean, it was just kicking butt. We had very little competition and I was just killing it. And about a year into the program, they called me and they wanted to cancel the SEO. And I was like, nobody cancels SEO. I'm like, well, once it's up and running and you're making money, you don't cancel that. I asked them, I said, what's the deal? What's going on? And they said, well, we don't have anything else to sell. We're done. We sold the project out. They said, we're going to do another one in Florida probably next year. We'll give you a call back. And I'm like, okay, I guess I don't have anything to say about that. It's a case of where you did so well, you put yourself out of business. But I love that kind of thing. I mean, that's why I do what I do. So anyway, other stuff.
Are you going to cover the new site pop on the call on Monday, or can you give us a preview here?
Yeah, actually Monday we're going to go through all of the different platforms, and Chris is going to be on there. Chris has actually done most of the beta testing. I have done the beta testing on the Bing side and on the Google side. And I'm very familiar with those two, but Chris has pretty much done the YouTube and the Amazon. So he's going to be talking on the webinar Monday. He's going to be talking about that, how to get the best use out of it, case studies, all that kind of stuff. And I'll cover the Google and the Bing. But was there something specific you wanted to know about it?
Yeah, do we, for a resell, the email I got says that you're gonna be releasing it to us that are already with the program without a price increase, but I wasn't clear if being a reseller was sufficient. I will be using SitePop, but I don't have a use for it just this week. But do I need to get SitePop so I get the price freeze, or just being reseller sufficient?
No, you're a reseller. That's fine. That's not a problem. But it's basically all of the people that were in it that have been paying for all this time as we were developing the product. I'm not going to charge them for all the new features. Like new people that are coming in, they'll be able to buy SitePop for Amazon, or they'll be able to buy it for Google, or they'll be able to buy it for YouTube, and it will be for that platform. If they want it for all four, they'll have to pay more to get all four. But all the people that have been with me since the beginning, I'm notorious for this. I never raise prices on anybody. So that's my give back to everybody that helped us fund this thing and helped grow the project. I'm just giving them all everything. You know, anything new that comes out, they're going to get it. I'm never going to raise their prices ever. And you know, I've been in the online space for 25 years or more, and I've still got people from way back when. I've never raised their prices on anything. It's like I've got some people that I don't make any money on. It's just, you know, services I'm providing for them on a long-term basis, they might be break even, you know, at best, but I don't really care. You know, they're long-term customers. They order other stuff from me, and I have a lifetime value with everybody. So
As
I'm
you
not.
listen to the man sitting on his boat.
So it's just, you know, I'm probably way different than a lot of people. A lot of people would not do stuff if they didn't make money off it. But I've got so many things, like in my business, I've got so many different avenues of money that comes in off of different things. I've got different divisions. Like I've got an SEO, commercial SEO division. I've got a web hosting company. I've got a domain registration company. I've got, you know, the web development itself. I've got training. I've got, you know, online programs. I've got the, you know, the online memberships. I've got, you know, affiliate programs coming out my ears where I refer people in different sectors to the right thing, different things. You know, you guys see some of the things I refer because I give you the ones that make sense to you. But I never send out I never send affiliate offers to everybody for everything. I don't, I've never done that. I send it only to the people that it makes sense to. Like if I send you an affiliate offer, it's probably something that you should seriously take a look at. That's the reason I'm sending it to you. But I don't do very many of them, and I only do them, you know, the right offer to the right people. So, and Kartra has been unbelievable for me in the last few years that I've been using it, because it gives me a really cool ability to tag people and selectively send the right offers to the right people. I mean, it was literally a game changer. I saw the ability in Infusionsoft and loved the idea. I just never could get Infusionsoft to work for me. I'm not a programmer. I'm not a tech guy. I know a lot of people think I am, and I have a lot of capabilities. But sitting in front of a computer programming and banging my head against the wall is just not the way I'm going to go through life. And that was what Infusionsoft was. So I just kind of went without that, knowing that it was there, wanting it desperately. And then when Kartra came around, it's like, okay, this is what Infusionsoft always wanted to be. And it's worked very, very well for me. So, and I've trained a lot of people on it. I've helped a lot of people get up and running with their own Kartra. And most of them have found that it's easier to make offers It's easier to communicate with your people. It's easier to make money, and they make more money because of it. So it's a great, great program, and it's not for everybody. You know, there's a lot of instances where you already have something that does something similar, and there's no reason for you to move. If you can do what you need to do in your business, there's no reason for you to make a shift to Kartra. But if you don't, and you're struggling and you're piecemealing a bunch of stuff together, you'll probably save money right out of the gate by getting rid of all that stuff because it's all included in Kartra. I saved several $100s a month by switching to Kartra. Before it even started working for me, I was saving money because I didn't have all these additional fees and things that I needed to pay for. So it just made sense all the way around for me. I was struggling with putting pieces together to get done what I wanted to do, and I was paying too much. So it solved both of those problems. If you don't have either of those problems, then you're probably good to go. You don't need it.
Hey, John.
Hey, Russ, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Awesome.
Can I interrupt you for a second here? I got a quick question.
Sure.
So we all know that content's king, and WordPress is the best blog platform.
Yeah.
I have this scenario, which you know of, that the Shopify and the WordPress, where you have to build it on a subdomain.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, how do you overcome the challenges of having the Shopify, your e-commerce store, be, you know, having the traffic there, but then starting up a new subdomain from scratch? They're treated like two separate websites, correct?
Well, because they're on the same domain, there's a certain amount of trust and juice passed amongst them.
Is there?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not like you're starting up a whole new entity. You're carrying it off of a grandfathered, effort. So I don't see a real problem there. Like, for instance, on my Internet Dominators site, I have a bunch of subdomains. Like, I have a billing software that I run under billing.internetdominators. I've got all my Kartra pages running under dominators.internetdominators. I've got probably 4 or 5 different subdomains, and they're all part of the Internet Dominator, umbrella. So it all kind of rolls up the hill or rolls down the hill, or however you want to do it. But as far as your integration, what you want to do, if you want to truly tie them together and make them seen as one, is you got to link them together. You have to interlink them. So, for instance, in your main navigation, you just have your blog button linked to your subdomain. In your blog, you have the buttons back to your Shopify store in there. So your navigation bars, the top and bottom, just have them the same on both sides of the fence. That way it's seen as one integrated site.
When you were talking about when ranking sites about a long time ago, when I first came with you, you were talking about silos. You create silos in your website, vertical silos. It sounds like you're talking about a very similar thing, only with your subdomains. You're treating each one like a silo, but they are still all connected together. Is that what you sounds like? That's what you're saying.
Yeah. The difference is these aren't necessarily silos. They are different sections, so you could consider it, but silos for SEO purposes was similar types of content. So like a silo, for instance, the real world example of a silo is a category of product. Like, you might have a commerce store and you've got a million different products and you've got them in 12 categories and you've got 10 subcategories of each category. Those would be silos the way SEO works, or the way SEO sees it. It's another word that is used in the SEO world is semantic index, latent semantic indexing, LSI. You'll hear LSI if you do any kind of research on keywords or SEO techniques. LSI is latent semantic indexing, and it means different words that are similarly impacted. So like for instance, if your topic was baseball, LSI words to baseball are words that have a similar meaning. Like for instance, stadium. Stadium would be an LSI word. It's related to baseball. Grandstands, first base, catcher's mitt, baseball bat, home run. Those are all LSI words that are related to baseball. So in the silo world, if all of those words are contained in a bucket with pages and they all relate together and they're all intermingled and interlinked, that's an SEO. That's the siloed SEO strategy. So, and then you have another bucket, which is another folder. When I say bucket, I'm really referring to a folder in your website and your structure, your site structure. So the folder is the silo, and then all the pages are the content in that silo. And then all the LSI words are in the pages in the silo. And then the folder right next door might be football. And then it's got all the pages about football. And it can have stadium as well. Stadium could be a football stadium, and stadium could be a baseball stadium. It's the other LSI words that are going to compact to tell Google what that stadium is. It's baseball versus football. That's LSI. So another thing that Google needs to be able to figure out what you're talking about. When you're talking about a stadium, the only way that they have to figure that out is LSI. It's latent semantic indexing. Or if you make it easy on them, you can use schema tags. And the reason this is so important to Google to figure out the meaning of every word, the meaning of every page, is so they know what to rank it for. They know who they should show that page to. Like I use the example of Cougar. Cougar is an old car. I don't remember who made it. I think
Ford.
was it Ford?
Ford.
Cougar?
Ford, yep.
Okay. So you've got the car, the old car, the Ford Cougar, right? That is a car. So Cougar, Google has to figure out, assimilate, Cougar, they mean car. So if someone's looking for the Cougar car, this page is applicable. We should show it. There's also a big cat, a wildcat, and things relating to that might be, the Serengeti, or wherever cougars are. I don't know where they live, but those kind of terms are LSI clues for Google to figure out, oh, the cougar, they're talking about the cat here. And the other cougar that I know of is, an older woman that has certain desires. So other keywords are semantically related to that, and it's a clue as to what kind of cougar we're talking about. So when Google looks at searches related to a cougar, it's their job to figure out which one so we can deliver the right contents. So schema tags, you can shortcut it. You can just tell Google, hey, we're talking about the Ford car here. And a schema tag, you can say automotive. Now we know cougar and automotive, that's a pretty damn good clue. There's no reason we should second guess that. If we're talking about cougar and dating, if we put dating in our schema tag, we know damn well we're talking about a woman. If we put nature in our schema tag, we know damn well we're talking about a cat. There's no ambiguity. There's no mistake. And it's important to Google not to make a mistake because kids use Google. So if a kid's looking to write a report on a cougar, Google does not want to show them the other scenarios. That's why it's so important to them. They don't want to make that kind of mistake. They've got a lot of responsibility on their shoulders being open to anyone using their Google search. Kids use it as much as adults. So the more we can help them, the more we can have the ability to rank our pages, because when Google knows what your page is about and it's a good match and it's good content, they tend to want to put you at the top. So that's the whole SEO world. There's a whole world behind that of techniques and things to do to make that happen, of who's going to be on top. I've taught SEO longer than anything. I've done SEO in the online space. SEO is really kind of where I got my start. Well, it's where I made my first really good money, is where it was. My actual start was in web hosting and in web development to get the web hosting, and then having an automatic base of people that needed SEO. SEO is where I really made the money, but I had to create the base to get it. It was like Ray Kroc working in the business. I had to create systems to get where I wanted to go. But SEO, I go way back to the core in SEO. And there's a lot of stuff. I haven't really done a lot of training on it lately, because all of the tricky stuff that we used to do to get results, Google has gotten way too smart. None of that stuff works anymore. If you're following SEO guys that are, they have magic bullets and tricks and, stuff like that, it doesn't last long, and all it's going to do is get you in trouble. You have to be in alignment with what Google wants, and you've got to provide the best content. It really is that simple. There's not a lot of, Houdinery, or, whatever you want to call it about that. The magic on it is all gone. It's mostly common sense. And I guess for me, I probably don't value that so much, is why I don't really teach it that much anymore. And I think that might be a mistake, because what I see as common sense, I think a lot of people don't. So it's one of the things I was considering to do later on this year, is actually do another SEO training, a full SEO training. Maybe if things go back to normal, maybe an actual live classroom experience, with 30, 40, 50 people. I used to do those every year. I did SEO Reboot for probably 10 years in a row. And the premise of SEO Reboot was, okay, let's throw everything out the window and reboot, and let's look at what's working now, and let's get you a reboot on SEO. So as soon as it goes back to normal, I'll probably do another one of those. And everybody loved that. It was so right on the money, and it helped so many people in their rankings to get Google traffic. And I'm going to tell you, SEO, whether you know how to do it or not, it is the best traffic on the planet. And I'll tell you why. It's like Google is like a matchmaker. They're taking somebody that wants what you have, and they're connecting you. It's like a dating service, for lack of a better word. You've got something to sell. They want it. And Google's going to be the matchmaker that connects you. When somebody wants something, there's no better time for you to show up in front of them. It's the hottest marketing that there ever was, and there ever will be. Traditional marketing, you had to bring yourself in front of people that really weren't looking for you at the time, and it worked. It was mediocre at best. The only way it really worked was by volume. Television ads, it was by volume. Magazine ads, it was by volume. But with search, you can have one person. Every person that goes on to search for a product is probably going to buy it in the very, very near future, maybe in the next few minutes. And for them to put that person in touch with you, that is like gold. There is, like I said, there is no better traffic on the planet than somebody that's on a search box looking for something, and for you to show up in front of them right now. It just doesn't exist. There's Facebook advertising. A lot of people make money with Facebook advertising, and it's not the same. It's a lot harder to do. Facebook advertising, in fact, every form of advertising outside of search is disruptive. It's disruptive advertising. You're taking somebody that's doing something else and you're trying to persuade them to be interested in something they're not interested in at that given moment. For you to do disruptive marketing, you better be really freaking good at grabbing their attention. And that's the first part of the big idea. That's the whole purpose for the big idea. Remember, the guys that created that whole process, David Ogilvy, the father or the mother of the big idea, he created that to grab attention before the internet was around. He knew the importance of grabbing that attention. And that's why he said any successful marketing campaign is going to be based on a big idea. If it's not, it'll pass like a ship in the night, meaning it will not be seen. So search is by far the best traffic on the planet. That's why I've taught it for so long. I've been involved in it so long. It's not going away. It's just very different. All the little loopholes and the tricks and all that stuff, the holes in the bucket have been plugged. You know, Google came out with AI technology and they figured out what was truly good content. So now they know. They have a crystal ball that will tell them who belongs at the top. So that's kind of what's going on there. So Woody, I don't know if you're trying to talk to us, but you're muted.
I said you could be a speaker at UCLA at Royce Hall. You're so compelling. I do have a couple of questions though.
Okay.
One, I would be connected when there was sort of a gold rush on that you would get Zoom forever.
Yeah.
For 500. I don't even remember what I paid. And we've been so busy elsewhere. Sylvia and I haven't really had an opportunity to look at Be Connected. And so I would like to know how to use my Zoom on Be Connected because I paid for it, right? 500 people. I want to, yeah. And then the other thing is, we need some music for our ad, and I want to know if anyone had
any advice about how to
get
music,
free music
or affordable, and we might also need photos potentially for the ad as well. We don't know yet.
Okay.
Kind of like resident.
There's a really good resource. I believe it is called Audio Hive or Audio Jungle.
Okay.
And they've got a ton of music. It's very inexpensive for the royalty free stuff. There are free resources out there. There's a ton of places. You can just Google royalty free music, free royalty free music, and there's a ton of it available. So
right. And the other one was about having Be Connected and Kartra side by side in my tool bag of building tools there. Just briefly, what is the difference? What are the two about? I know Kartra, we love it for but tell Sylvie because she's new and I would only be hearing it the third time.
Okay, yeah, no. Well, Kartra is an online marketing program where it replaces a whole bunch of different tools in one toolkit. Like it will build landing pages, it will build opt-ins, it will build your mailing lists, it will give you the ability to tag people as they come into your mailing list, gives you the autoresponders, calendars, scheduling, help desks. It's like all of your online tools in one tool bag. And it is, if you're doing online marketing, it's phenomenal. For your business, if you're trying to do lead generation,
Yeah,
where you need to do advanced follow-ups,
yeah,
it's phenomenal for that. It's
yeah,
absolutely awesome.
yeah.
If you want to do automation of scheduling appointments and
Yeah.
following up and all of that stuff, it's just awesome at that.
Hmm.
Now, Be Connected. So that's Kartra. Now, Be Connected is a social media platform where you can connect to influencers and you can be an influencer to have people connect to you.
Mhm.
And what they say about Be Connected, they kind of describe it as online dating for business owners and entrepreneurs. So like if you need something, if you need a particular skill set of some person, you can go on to Be Connected, and it's kind of similar to LinkedIn.
Awesome.
You can look for specialties. The problem with LinkedIn is it's got everyone on the planet, whether they're good or not. Having everyone on the planet's good, but having all of them, whether they're good or not, oh, well, maybe that's not such a good idea.
Yeah, no criteria.
I have not had any luck whatsoever with LinkedIn recently in the last, say, 5 years, because it's just become a spam pool.
And Sales Navigator is pretty fantastic, I have to say. for
Yeah,
everything.
if you're looking for specific things and you're using Sales Navigator and all that, yeah, you might have a good solid pattern there, a resource. But Be Connected, again, the downside to it is it's a new platform, so it doesn't have the gazillion people that LinkedIn has.
Yeah.
But they're high quality people, and it recommends, like if you go on there to do a search, it will recommend you the best people based on a rating system. So it's not going to put you in contact with people with a 1-star rating. People that have a low rating, actually, they lose the ability to connect or have people be referred to them.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn doesn't have that. You don't know what you're getting in that pool of goodies.
Pretty good luck with people on LinkedIn, honestly.
Yeah. So anyway, the other thing you had asked Woody is about the in Be Connected, in their pro level and up. One of the bonuses and perks to that is they give you the ability to buy an enterprise level Zoom account for $12.99 a month. That's a 500 seat license, both on Zoom Webinar and Zoom Meeting.
Yeah, I thought we bought that, but I didn't.
And
Can you buy it anytime? I mean, I bought it a while ago.
Well, all you have to do is you just have to sign up for the webinar service. And then whether you're a member of Be Connected or not, you can keep that webinar service for the $12.99 a month forever. That's a grandfathered thing.
All right, and the big advantage
Well, the
that
advantage
is all the seats. The
Yeah, the
500
advantage
seats.
to having Zoom, well, there's a lot of advantage to the enterprise level in Zoom. It's not just the 500 seats. You might think, well, yeah, I'll never fill 500 seats. I'll probably never fill 100 on the standard. But there's a lot of other features that the enterprise has. And one of the big ones is transcription. Whenever you do a recording to the cloud, it will transcribe, it'll have the little annotation like Woody said, and then John said, and then Gregory said, and all of that is transcribed automatically for you.
Can they do that on text messages?
Oh, well, Zoom isn't a text messaging service.
Oh, no, you're talking about transcribing your Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
appointment.
Like since I'm on the boat today, so I'm recording this to the cloud.
You're
So
on the boat again?
I'm on the boat again.
Are you a boat addict? I love you.
I am pretty addicted to this life down here now. It's pretty phenomenal.
Fuck work.
Fuck work.
Oh, I can work just fine here. I mean, I work in my head 90% of the time. So it doesn't matter where I am, and I'm pretty happy being here, I'll tell you. And all back to the whole money is evil. Anybody that says money can't buy happiness clearly does not know where to shop.
Yeah, right. They don't got the money.
That's the Ferengi rule. You got it. Ferengi rules say the same thing.
So, I can vouch for whoever said that.
Bloomingdale's.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have said that.
Bloomingdale's beats Target any day. For
Is
clothes,
Bloomingdale's
for
still
men's
in
clothes.
business?
I don't even know. I heard all the Fredericks of Hollywood or Victoria's Secret, they're closing 500 stores.
As long as they don't close all those stores.
And I always said their secret is they sell expensive underwear online.
Fry's is closing also.
It's a good place. I like Victoria's Secret.
Yeah, I saw the thing about Fry's closing too.
I like
Hey,
their sport line.
I'll tell you, the whole thing about these big department stores and stuff closing, and you know, a lot of businesses you'll see are closing. If they haven't closed already, they're probably going to soon. That was inevitable because of the whole shift to online. It was absolutely inevitable. What happened was that accelerated it is the pandemic. The whole pandemic thing just supercharged the acceleration of the closing of old business models. And what's happened, it's opened new ones. You know, it's like when you think that the economy is destroyed and business is terrible and all that stuff, all those things that can go into your head, most of them are not true. They might be true in certain instances for certain people, but I guarantee you there's the same amount of dollars in the world, the same amount of dollars are moving today as moved yesterday. They might just be moving in a different place. So
There's a lot more money. The US government in the last year with the pandemic has printed 20% of all the money the US government has ever printed has been printed in the last year.
yeah, there is plenty of money out there, guys. It's just flowing in different streams. If you're fishing in a pond that has no fish, you might want to pick up your gear and hunt for a new pond. Read the book, Who Moved My Cheese? That's what it's all about. It's nothing stays the same. If you think you're going to stay the same, do the same thing throughout your whole life, those days are over. You know, my dad did that. He worked for 35 years for the same company. I don't know anybody in my generation that's going to be a thing. The cheese is moving, and it's moving at a much more rapid rate. You know, there's certain industries that'll be around forever, but the way business is done within them is certainly going to change. You know, like anything, like even real estate, the way houses are sold is different today than it was 20 years ago. It's going to be different in another 20 years. Nothing is ever going to stay the same. If you want to stay ahead of the curve, if you want to continue to make money, if you want to make more money and you want to be more successful, you need to focus on where the ball is going, not where it's been. You've got to look at, you know, what are the problems tomorrow? How can I be there and anticipate them and solve them before they even happen? You know, that's where you get guru status. That's where you get mentor status. That's, you know, seeing the crystal ball ahead of time and being able to lead people to the light. There's good opportunity in that. There always will be. So anyway, all right, well, let's let's wrap it up for today. I appreciate everyone being on here. Great
Thank you.
question. And we will be back same time next week.
We'll see you Monday night.
John.
John.
Okay, have a great day and rest of the week.
Enjoy the water.
Will do.
Anchors away, big man.
Bye-bye.